Hello and welcome to this tutorial. It's going to be the first of, I'm not sure how many, but maybe a few No Limits 2 tutorials. We're going to start off with the basics, from like just creating general track to switches, maybe even scripting, although I'll have to brush up on that myself. So for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to create a B&M flawless coaster. I'll explain why later on, but for this we're just going to create a tutorial park. If you don't have No Limits, I really suggest you buy it. It does look very intimidating at first, but once you get to grips with it, and hopefully you will do with the aid of these tutorials, you will soon be creating amazing looking coasters. So when you create a park, you get something like this, which is your canvas, so to say. Then you've got your tab, park, coaster, track, blah 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 blah. For now, you just want to click on coaster and new coaster. Let's call this, not test, tutorial coaster. And then before you do anything after that, you want to go to properties. And then you've got name. You give it a description, don't really need to do anything with that. Style. Now this is where you choose your style of coaster. You've got all of these to go through. Some of them are like branded, so you've got the Zamperla twisted coaster here, which is obviously Zamperla with permission, and then you've got some which are like twisted dive coaster, twisted floors coaster. Now I'm sure you all know that these are the Polygon Marbler trains in style. So we're going to do one of these, go for a nice new, and that gives you a striped rail, but let's go for standard. And we'll go over to mode, and I always choose Hotline, unless you're doing a very old Arrow coaster, although they are kind of hard. Go for Hotline, it's safe. Then you go to trains. We'll go for an 8 car train. Just leave it on 1 for demo purposes. You can run a train backwards. Start block. We'll come to that later. And then colours. Now, if you saw here, that's not a good example. Okay, for the likes of Shambhala, I'll use this as an example. You've got the main spine, which sometimes the top can be a different colour. I think Fury 325 just does like that sort of thing. So for this tutorial we're going to go for like a kind of Shambhala style colour scheme. So if you do rails and the cross ties is that, and then that, but a little bit lighter like that, and then have a lighter supports. And then if you do top accented, that means the top of the spine will have like a shade of the cross tie colour, which is really cool. For the cars we will have, colour cars should we have? So we've got nice blue. We'll go for like a very bluey, light blue colour seat. If you just go for that just makes sense. Harnesses, dark harness. Oh, I suppose we could have a nice dark blue harness. Bogey, I always have these as grey. Then catwalk should want to be the same as you call them supports. So that one and that one. Just leave the tone of the white. Scripts and statistics are fine. So then you've got that. Now, when I'm building coasters, first thing I tend to do is add a special track transfer table and just add that in there. However, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to do that. The reason I do it beforehand is because it's easier to work around this than to add them later, because of how the node placement works with these. But with this one we're not going to add any transfer tracks and stuff. That'll be in a later tutorial. So we'll go to track, and at the top you can choose your views. You've got your perspective view, which is this view, all that, then top view, left side, whatever. Obviously with the advantage of No Limits is the fact that it's not restricted, whereas Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 is restricted to its 90-degree bends and the 3-point up and down, whatever it is. With No Limits it's not. However, I find it easier to, if you go to preferences and snap angle, change it to 10 or 5, stick to 10 for now. It means that when you can rotate, you can actually limit it to 5. I'll give you an example. We'll just add a random bit of track here. If you turn snap off and you click rotate, it rotates freely, but if you have snap on, it'll rotate in sections of 10 degrees or whatever you set it to. It just makes lining up coaster elements so much easier, and when you come back to add supports or edit track, it's a godsend. Okay, so we'll start off with the station. So obviously you'll want a nice flat area like that. You can click a start vertex, but nobody does a start vertex, I'm not going to lie. So you just use the add vertex to add, and the way this works is you click where they go and track will be added smoothly in between them, if that makes sense. And for actually I've got an idea, I can show you. So we'll get rid of these. So this will be our station, and for the sake of the tutorial we will have a lift hill coming straight off the station. So we'll add another vertex here. Oh, gonna line it up. There we go. And then going up like that. Now as you can see, it's nice and smooth, but obviously you want the station to be flat and then go up. So if you double click on a node and click strict, it means that the track will be at the certain position there. The reason that these are higher than the track is because we've got it on Hotline mode. If you set it center of rails, then it sticks at the center of the rails, but when you're doing things like say Hotline rolls or even general turns, it's so much easier having it Hotlined. So no, it's not in preferences, it's style, mode, Hotline. Okay, so, and obviously you're going to want that there to be strict as well, but if it's, you can't make it strict if it's the, say, the end node, vertex, whatever. So we can add another one. How should we have it? If you look down at the bottom here, I don't even know if you can see my cursor, I think you should. At the bottom it tells you the Y, that's how tall your coaster is. So we don't want it too big, we'll have it about 150 foot. So you do something like that, and then you can make that one a strict node, and that one a strict node. Now, what we'll do is we just freeze the coaster now, just so I can show you something. So if I go into perspective view, you can see here that we've got a nice straight bit of track, and then it comes up at the top, and that's basically the lift hill. This bit of track here will be the station. We can turn all this into a lift hill with catwalk and everything, but for now, this is kind of what I want to show you about the colour scheme of how the top part of the spine becomes a certain colour. Anyway, so if you unfreeze the coaster, that's kind of how like you would render it, if that's the right word. But no, back to front view. So we've got the lift hill. What you do is use type separators, which are in the track menu. It doesn't actually fit on my screen, I've got a very low resolution, I say monitor, it's not a monitor, but you use these and you add them and you can split sections up. So say that one, that for example, we don't need one there, we do need that one, I'll just move up to there, because that's where the top of our lift hill will be at the start, our station. So if you just select one and then click section type, it gives you a choice. Track's just a normal track, station, lift. Transport, you just like your transport wheels without a brake. It's not a lift hill, and then you've got storage, which is new in No Limits 2. I say new, this game was released quite a while ago, but so you click a station, and as you can see, your train appears in the station. So what we'll do is we'll just make it fit nice and neat, not too big, not too tight. It's nice to have a nice gap in between. And then for realism and for the sake of the tutorial, I'll show you the transport. One, transport's yellow. Transports are yellow if I click it correctly, and then lift hills are green. So if you click on the station, you get these things. It's best to name all of your, what would you call them, the sections, that's it. Relatively simple names but effective. So this will be pre-lift, this will be lift hill. Now I'm sure you saw all them settings, which may be scary to some, but it's not too bad. So for this, you've got your wait time. I'd never really mess with these. If you want dueling coasters, then this is what you will touch, but you don't want to be doing that, so you can just leave them as they are. Honestly, it's fine. Deceleration, leave that as that. Transport device is where you want to go. Focus on. So when you come out of the station, you want it to be a very smooth incline up. like the speed doesn't change too much. There we go, that's really hard for me to get across. So you want your lift hill to be, say, 8 miles an hour. It doesn't default go as miles per hour, it default goes as metric units. I believe I'm on metric units, that's on the main settings. I prefer these because I'm more familiar with these ones. So if you change everything to 8 and your acceleration is how fast you go up, like it's not going to be a launch, is it, if it's 0.5 g. So you just want to leave that as that. This is for the transport section. So you got friction wheels, linear motor, which is an LSM, LIM, as it says there. Honestly, this game is so self-explanatory. You don't even need me. But so we'll have friction wheels just before the lift hill, as you've seen before in real coasters, because it's real, believe it or not. So you'll have 8 and 0.5, and then for the lift hill 8 and 0.5, and for the station 8 and 0.5. Now what this will mean is that you get a nice smooth dispatch. That's the right word, dispatch. So we'll continue on the track. What we will do, we'll go to track, add vertex. So we want it to come down. Should we have a pre-drop, or is it worth having it? We'll go with just a straight down drop, just for the sake of this tutorial, because it'll be so much easier. So 8, what would the word be? Structuring your vertexes is quite difficult. Like if I was to do that, that would not be a nice drop. Also, if you're wondering what these things are, these are different combs, so you can turn it off. Spline shows you the Hotline of the riders. Well, it doesn't, it shows you the thing. But if you have it on Hotline mode, it shows you the Hotline, which is brilliant. Blocks show you the different blocks. So now we've got 2 blocks. That looks like one of them lollies, what they call twisters. I think they're called twisters, or the rainbow lollies. The ice lollies there. That's not even relevant. Your radius comb will come to last. Your speed comb tells you the current speed, so as you can see it's 8 miles an hour. All the way up to the top. At the bottom of this drop we reach 61 miles an hour, so it's quite a big drop. Then your G-force one will show you your G-forces. So we obviously, if you're sat down, laying on the bed or whatever, watching this video, you're experiencing 1 G-force and 0 lateral G unless you're moving. As you come over the top, if you've been on a roller coaster that has quite a steep drop, you know you kind of get thrown out your seat or you feel like it. That's when you go 0 G or negative. So as you can see here, it comes up a little bit, so we've got a little bit of ejector airtime on the drop. Then we come down, you reach the highest G-forces around here to here at the bottom of the drop. We don't go above 4, which is really nice. I keep saying a lot, this is really unprofessional, but I'm not a YouTuber at heart. I'm doing this for the sake of people who didn't have tutorials and who could do with tutorials. I didn't have tutorials learning this, and it was very hard, I'm not going to lie. And my phone's going off, great. So, at the bottom of the drop, as with most B&M coasters, you will probably want a loop. Now, if you go to element, add element, there is the option, there is like a wizard, so to speak, of elements. This is the loop one. You would enter the half height of the loop, so what we need to do is realise how high we want the loop. So what is it? Oh yes, here we go. So if we look at the Y coordinates, you'll see the bottom of the drop is 16 and it'll reach speed about to here, so 136 foot. So take away that from that means the loop's going to be about 120 foot in height. So if you click this, when you add an element, I'll show what happens if you don't. Choose the default settings. It just adds it separate as like a new piece of track there, which isn't what we want, so Control and Z undo that. And then go to front. See if you click on it and it continues, move it a bit, there we go. And then add element. So it was the loop is going to be 120 foot tall, so we want it 60 foot because that's the half height. Tightness of the loop 0.3 or 4. I'd say 0.3 if you're doing just like a normal B&M loop. If you're doing a girth or circular loop, do 0. If you're doing an inverted loop, I would say go for 0.4 because of the Hotline. It depends how it works, how you are designing your coaster. Just mess around with this. It's very rare that you'll do the first set of inputs and get it how you want it. For this, 12. Unless you're doing a wing coaster and you want it more, 12 always works quite nice for me. Then just, you can mess with this, but I tend to leave it. Okay, I can't go back to 100, that's not very nice. Mirror, or following in full orientation, you don't need to mess about that yet. So as you can see here, we've done it, and if you check the speed, you see it's 4 miles an hour at the top, which is not good. So what we can do, we can technically cheese because it's start of a ride. We can lower the drop a bit, lower that a bit, and then increase the whole coaster so that we got a nice speed of 17 miles an hour through the loop, which is quite fast. It's not too fast, it won't kill you, trust me. You get a nice little bit of hang time on the loop, so if that doesn't prove that it's not too fast, then I don't know what will. But as you can see here, the G-force is like not high, but 4, then it drops, and then you get a sudden increase where the loops change. And we'll go to the radius comb now so you can see this. The radius comb shows you how intense the curve is, so you can see there that the curves, and it's a bit flat, it's a bit straight, which you can actually see there, a bit straight, and it curves again. So what you want to do is click the deep on vertices, you select which vertices you want to effectively smoothen out, and then it does that nice and neatly for you. It does make it a bit bigger sometimes though, so speed comb, yeah, that's fine. So we will just bring this a bit closer, because if you mess around with it, you'll see that, oh gosh, there we go, that's nice. And then if you just want to move these around, see, I've got mine set up, I think it's preferences, limits. It goes yellow when I hit 4.5G and red when I hit 5.5, because I don't want to be going over that. I don't really want to be going over that, but if it's meant to be an intense moment, then that's good. I say these are good guidelines if you want to copy them into yours. I also turn smooth G-force cores off. I'll show you what it does. It makes it smooth, so I'm really bad at explaining things, but you can visually see what it does. I personally do not like them. If you like it, then go for it. So we're going to try and make this first drop a bit smoother. That'll do. Obviously it's not totally smooth. If you click deep on, see, that doesn't help as much. Still a bit intense there, but we'll live. So we've got ourselves a nice loop. We'll have a look at this in 3D view. So you come down, do the loop, and then obviously finish the loop. So the reason I chose to do a B&M floorless coaster is because in the supports, if you go to choose prefab, there are a list of prefab, like pre-designed supports that you can just effectively just click on. So if the twisted is B&M, they just obviously haven't got permission from B&M to use the word B&M. So if you double click one and then go to prefab panel, it will let you customize the prefab. So you typically want a 30-inch support, especially for the bigger support. Smaller ones you want to go for like 20, 24-ish. 16 is really small. 42 would be for like future just drag coaster. And then you could choose whether you want rectangular or round support footers. I'll stick with rectangular for now. So if you go to front view, there we go, and just add supports where you feel necessary. We'll add them there, add one there, move this one up a little bit, that one there. So we've got some supports on the lift hill. On the drop we will want one there. We won't want them that close to the ground because of how, I'll show you what happens if you do low to the ground. It just turns into a single one, which is, it works, but if you're going to do terraform it all messes up. So we'll do the supports for the loop at the bottom of the drop now. I'm also going to increase the height of everything a little bit, select everything like that. There we go. turn the comb off now. I'll just leave on supply mode. Choose prefab. Just be careful when you're adding supports, because most people do it at the end, that if you've got one selected and then you choose prefab and select another one, it will change the one that you've selected. So make sure there's none selected before you change, unless obviously you want one changing. Singles, default at 24, default at rectangular, so that's fine. Just click, 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 and then we'll add one here. Add it like that. Now, I shouldn't really be adding supports so close, because when you so close to the end of the node string, because when I add another part of the track, that's fine because it's the end of an element. But if you were to add supports as you go, you can find there are some issues. So as for the loop, obviously that won't support it, so we're going to want like 90 degree, because the track here is technically 90 degrees. If you were to rotate it 90 degrees, it would be flat. So if you go to prefabs, and you've got two twisted 90 degree ones, one where, I'll show you the example. The default settings for these are fine, so I can add one for each and then show you the differences. So as you can see, this one comes inwards, the extra support beam, and this one comes outwards. It really doesn't matter which you choose. Actually this one will collide with that, so I'm going to use this one instead, the outwards one. Sorry about my throat. So I will do this one, choose prefab, and it'll actually change that one for me, like I showed you before. Okay, so now we've got this, we're also going to add supports over here. Choose prefab, we'll add singles, small singles, add one there, so move this one a little bit. We'll add one just there for now. And then what actually we're going to do is select that, hold control and select that as well. And if you go to track and style, this is how you add support, not supports, catwalks. So if you select, so add them both, add light and lights on both. If you have transparent, I always do transparent, is more aesthetically pleasing. If you've got like a lower spec computer, I wouldn't suggest doing this. You can make some bits of track invisible, but that's not realistic. Yeah, you can also change the individual colours of track, like we did with the type separators as well. You can also use style separators, so if you want multicolour track, like the Mac coaster that's going to Wallaby Holland or Belgium, one of them, Lost Gravity, how that's got black and white track, kind of like a bumblebee. That's how you do it. This was how you add tunnels and change the tyre spacing, or you might as well just leave them as normal. And then you click OK. And then what we can do now, we can have a nice look at this. So if I just go to coaster and freeze, let it load. There we go. So as you can see, we've got the lift hill, the loop. There's our trains. We can obviously modify these a bit later on, but then you've got, as you can see here, it dispatches from the station. You've got your transport wheels, then the lift hill. Go up the lift hill. We've got a very nice drop. As you can see, the supports are very highly detailed. Enter our nice 120-ish foot loop, and then crash and die. Can't actually test it yet because the coaster has to be fully operational before it will work. But what we will do now is unfreeze it, and I'll tell you what, I'll call this an end for this one episode because I've been going for quite a while. We will add a few more elements and just leave it as a shortish coaster in the next episode, and then we'll start working on some more advanced stuff. So thank you for watching. I'm not really going to ask you to subscribe for more, but I suppose it will help me, like it'll give me more enthusiasm to create more of these tutorials. If you're liking them or if you've got any comments, just let me know and I will try my best to help you, because at the end of the day I'm making these for you, the viewers, so you can learn all of it. So if there's something you want me to change, maybe say less, obviously that would be great. But no, feedback is very much appreciated, and if you could share these around, if you know people that are struggling with no limits, or they've got it, or they want it and they're not sure how to do it, then please share the video, let them know about it. And if you have me on Facebook, or if you follow me on Twitter, which is @avidpenguin, same as my YouTube, then just message me if you've got an issue, or if you've got a coaster that you've got an issue with, send it my way and I will be more than glad to help. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.